Good evening. Welcome. I'd like to bring the meeting to order. Gathering all of our board members. Thank you. I'd like to start tonight by thanking our maintenance and operations unit for spending a whole week fixing our microphones. We now have new microphones that aren't fading in and out and more speakers. So audience, you should be able to hear. Do you all hear back there? Ah, great. Okay, I'm glad to hear that. Thank you. Tonight we're going to begin by a flag salute. Mr. Hunt, would you like to introduce our student?
Yes, I will. I'll introduce her and talk a little bit about her afterwards. But Mariella, I hope I said that right. Chamay? Is that right, Mariella? Thank you. Can you come up and lead us in the flag salute? Mariella is a sixth grader at Washington.
Put your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yeah, right. There we go.
All right, go ahead.
Mariella. Mariella, as I mentioned before, is a sixth grader at Washington and is leading the pledge tonight for us here at the board. And she's in Mrs. Romero's class. She's participated in Washington student leadership since last year as a fifth grader, where she served as a student leader in the Saturday event for the Goodwill fundraiser. Thank you. This year, Mariella is continuing her participation in leadership. Last month, she assisted her principal, Ms. Farshow, with the awards during the monthly flag ceremony and plans to participate in other leadership events such as the annual Walk for the Homeless. In addition, Mariella participates in Washington's after-school ballroom dancing club and Patriot Players Theater Club. She envisions herself being an interpreter in the future because she would like to help deaf people. And she also hopes to become an actor and would be in the movies. And she's a very bright little girl because her dream is to attend college at UCLA, which is the best place to go in the whole world, right? I mean, so. And I understand that your mom and dad are here tonight. Is that right? Or you have some family here? Do you want to introduce them?
Okay. That's my mom right there. And
The one waving, okay.
yeah. And then my little sister is sitting on her lap. And my brother's right there. And then my little brother right there. And my dad over there.
All right.
Welcome.
And I understand your parents are deaf.
Yeah.
And so do you sign language with them at home and everything? You do?
Yes.
And I found out the other day, and I'm going to find out, we don't offer that anymore. We used to offer it as a language class at our high schools. And I understand Mrs. Alvey had something to do with the RCOE taking that away. So it's something, Dr. Hanson, I'd sure like us to look back into, since we have a community with California School of the Deaf right here, that we certainly want to have that. But I have something on behalf of the entire board, Mrs. Alvey and everyone, to give to you, if you would. If you have a photographer? Justin, you're here. It's for you. And we want you folks to come up for the picture. Okay. Yeah. Want to come up, Mom and Dad? Go Cubs. It's for you, sweetie.
Over here.
Oh, man. It's kind of a lopsided photo, but... Mr. Grayson's going to put that on our website so you can show it to your folks now, okay? Hey, nice to meet you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now we have a special treat. The John W. North Chamber Singers will perform for the board and for our guests.
On behalf of the choir, the administration, and Mr. Casilla, we would like to thank you for the honor and opportunity to perform for you today. So thank you and enjoy.
That we have on the 20th coming up. So that was our alma mater. Next we're going to sing for you a Scottish piece. It's called Loch Lomond, and it's actually a traditional Scottish song, and it's often, everyone there knows it, and you'll probably recognize it. It's usually sung at the end of a party or a celebration. And this setting it's an arrangement, so it's not just the tune. There's harmony and there's verses to it, and this is the version that the King's Singers, that's a group in England of all men. It's 5 guys. This is an arrangement for them that we've tackled. This is a really challenging arrangement that's kind of caused us to get everything together and add some rehearsals and really get this group going. I hope you enjoy Loch Lomond. It's called Add a Riff. In jazz, a riff is like a simple repeated pattern, which you would, someone would start a riff, and it just keeps going, and then someone kind of starts another riff, and then someone starts another riff, and that's exactly what this is. Our basses start a riff, and then the tenors kind of come up with another riff, and then the altos start another one, and then the sopranos have a riff, and they're kind of like competing for like who's better, and then they have a big argument, and then it kind of like dies out, and they kind of get sick of it, and then they come together at the very end, and it's pretty cool. The students wanted to start doing some movements and some choreography a la show choir, so everything you see, what's going on here, they did. So this is their doing. It's good. Enjoy.
Thank you so much. Any parents of choir people out there? You want to stand up? Yay? Yay? Parents, you get a big kudo too, because that's a lot of work for parents too. Wonderful. That was a lot of fun. All right, now we are going to move on to our presentations. Families, if you'd like to leave and go do homework, I don't know if you'd like to do homework, but you're more than welcome to leave if you want to. All right, thank you. We will now begin with a recognition of Riverside Polytechnic High School student for an Eagle Scout Merit Badge. Dr. Henson.
Thank you, Madam President Elavy, and it is my privilege to introduce this evening James W. Vineyard from Poly High School. James, would you like to walk up to the podium? And I want to thank Mr. Hunt for bringing this to our attention. Actually, the Eagle Scout is not a merit badge. It's the highest ranking award, I guess, that a young man can receive. And James has earned that, and he is a student at Poly High School. James is a scout with the historic Boy Scout Troop 2 in Riverside, which has been proudly chartered by the First Baptist Church of Riverside since 1923. His Eagle Scout Service Project was providing 49 comfort bags for foster children. Each included a backpack, a teddy bear, 2 books, and a hygiene kit. And so well done, and congratulations to you, James. I'd like to give Mr. Hunt an opportunity to say a word or two, then we'll go down and present him with the certificate.
Well, I knew when I saw you in your mom's arms about this big, you were going to be good. So You proved true, and your mom and dad are credits to this community, and obviously you've done well. What was your life? Always interested to find out when you earn your life. I always think that's a neat badge to earn. What did you do for your life badge? You might need to pull the mic up a little bit, James.
I went home and sewed it onto my uniform.
No, I know.
Good answer.
I'm not even, I tell you what, I'm up for re-election, don't you? You know that. Please. Okay. So, well, why don't you introduce your mom and dad and your sister?
Would you like to come up?
Actually, as they're coming up, Mr. Hunt, I believe it's the Eagle Scout that you have a project to do.
Oh.
And that's the project where James, he did complete 49 comfort bags for the foster youth. And that is, again, you have the life rank and then the Eagle Scout rank. And with the Eagle Scout rank, you have a large project you need to complete. And I believe that's what he was talking about.
I went as far as star, so you have to forgive me on that. You're way above my rank, buddy. So good deal. Congratulations. Well, everybody, come on down. Brent, Gail, come on. Appreciate the picture. Eagle Scout.
I'm an Eagle Scout, too. I think I'm more proud. Way to go.
Congratulations. Excellent work.
You got a high-priced photographer there.
Wow. Nice. Congratulations.
Good, James.
Congratulations. Congratulations again. That's very special. And now we will have the University Eastside Community Collaborative, UECC, AmeriCorps. And Mr. Garcia? are you in
Yes,
charge
yes.
of this?
Good evening, Mrs. Elovey, Dr. Hanson, and members of the board. Through a collaborative between Riverside Unified School District, UC Riverside, and the City of Riverside, the University Eastside Community Collaborative has been in place for the past 20 years. And to provide us with some information on that and some highlights and end of academic year report, we have Christine Morgando, the program manager for UECC AmeriCorps here, and she will provide you with that brief presentation and introduce some guests that she has with her today.
Thank you very much. So I'm here today to go over how successful our 2014-15 program year was. I just want to thank you for affording some time, and I want to give a quick shout out to some people who have joined me tonight. We have Debbie Newton. She is a site supervisor with UECC. She's also a teacher at Beatty Elementary, so she oversees our program there. I've also invited Lorraine Lundgren. She is our Associate Vice Chancellor of Student Affairs and Enrollment Services. She's back here giving a wave. And then Alicia Velasquez is the Executive Director managing our educational and community outreach programs. So, just to give some background, each year the partners come together and they apply for an AmeriCorps grant. And what that affords us is to recruit about 80 college students, and we place them in the East Side in schools and community centers to provide academic assistance and community service. Next slide, please. Oh, I get it. Oh, I get that's awesome. Yes, technology. This is the next slide. Okay. Oh, you guys can see it up there. You're way ahead of me. So this year, 80 college students put together 37,586 hours to the East Side.
Hey, that's impressive.
Yeah, it's awesome. 27,752 hours were dedicated to academic assistance in 8 schools and 3 community centers. 6,792 hours were in community service. The community service events included the Eastside Community Garden, Keep Riverside Clean and Beautiful. We've adopted a street through them. Eastside Heal Zone events, the MLK Walkathon, and any neighborhood engagement events that were going on in the east side. There were 17 members that stayed on through the summer, and they helped out with the summer youth camps in the east side at the community centers. 3,042 hours were dedicated to self-development and member development, which included effective tutoring strategies, leadership compass, conflict resolution, and then how to leverage their AmeriCorps experience into real-life experience. So our goal was to mentor 800 students. We mentored 912. Tutoring was one-on-one or small group, which is 3 to 1 tutor. It was either in math, English language arts, and or English language arts, could be both. We were also in the after-school programs. They provided a positive role model. They are mostly UCR students, one CVU student, so they always embodied the college experience. The students that were mentored were selected by the teachers. Students were performing below grade level and were not receiving intervention services. 727 finished. Our goal was 700. Finished means they receive 15 hours or more of tutoring throughout the school year. Some issues that we came across were transient students or members that left the program early, so that number could grow. Our goal was 454. We measured 477 as now performing at proficient levels in English language arts and or math. These are a unique number of students, so if they were tutored in both and became proficient in both, they were only counted once. They're now performing at grade level. We began a partnership with RUSD Technology Services to flag these students in ARIES, in Illuminate, so we can start tracking these students long term. So what's next? This year, I just want to let you know that we are leveraging your funds. This year, AmeriCorps has notified that UECC will award us $272,860. That will afford us to recruit 80 more college students, and in fact, we launched our program on September 26th. We have 80 students in your schools right now. We are also working on our MOU with our partnership, the 2015 through 2018 MOU, that will keep this program going and this partnership going for the next 3 years. I do just want to shout out to not only the collaborative, of course we couldn't have done it without you, but all of our sites and the site supervisors who are there mentoring our college students, selecting our students, responding to every request that I give them, even if it's like 3 times a month, and then of course the principals that are allowing us in their schools and helping us out there. That is it for my presentation. I'm open for questions if you guys have any.
Those are some very impressive statistics. That is wonderful. Does anybody have any questions or comments?
What year is this again? How many years have you? I mean, I remember I was involved at University Village years ago when it first started. We gave the what year? 14 years now?
20.
20.
Yes.
20 years.
Yes. 1995 was our first year as an official collaborative, although Mayor Leverage and Superintendent Fine were meeting before that.
Very good.
Yeah.
Do you have any trouble at all getting the students to volunteer from the campus?
No. So for recruitment, we can only afford 80 college students. This year we had 263 applicants.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's impressive.
So we have the cream of the crop
Yes,
as well.
you do. I'm excited.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for this
Thank
update.
you. Thank you.
Okay, now we have the recognition of the Local Control Accountability Plan Steering Committee members. Ms. Lynn Carmen Day.
Good evening, Board President Alavi, Dr. Hanson, esteemed board members. It gives me my pleasure to honor our LCAP Steering Committee that served for us for the last 2 years in support of community engagement and monitoring our plan. So at this time, if I could have Gloria Cowder, who's taken a great leadership role last year with the Local Control and Accountability Plan, we're going to call out some of our members, and if we could recognize them. We have a nice certificate on behalf of the Board of Education, especially our students, our staff, and community as a whole. So at this time, if I could have Scott Legner come up. Adriana Carrillo. Lenny Zarati. Actually, if I could have you stay up at the front, that would be great, because we're going to take a photo at the end.
Great.
Tim Martin. Gabby Ponce. Sandy Ramirez. Kirsten Reno Fosto. Daniel Rudd. Sandra Herto. Tamara Blackmore. Haley Calhoun. All right, can I get a photo opportunity from the board? And thank you so much. We appreciate the service that you provided for our LCAP in the last 2 years. We, as you know, through our community engagement, are touted throughout the state to have the most amazing involved engagement process. And so I would like to thank you on behalf of our board, our staff, and community. And I think we set the foundation of a fantastic 3-year plan. So again, with appreciation.
That's where I should photobomb, Tim. Right now.
Little did they know when they said yes, it was going to be 2 years. But there it is. And we're very, very happy that they were able to give us that kind of dedication and time. All right. Now we've come to the point where we want to have the reports by our high school representatives. We're going to begin tonight with John W. North High School, but you'll have to help me with your name because I cannot pronounce that first name. Is it Neche?
Like leche, but with an N.
Neche.
Yes.
Neche. Thank you very much. I love it. Neche Vincent.
Yes.
Very good.
Okay. Good evening.
Speak right in the mic.
Oops.
There you go.
Sorry. Okay. Good evening, Madam President Alvey, Dr. Hanson, and other members of the board. My name is Neche Vincent, and tonight I'll be representing John W. North. First off, I'd like to say it's absolutely an honor to be representing my school this school year. There's always something interesting happening at North, and I'm ecstatic to be updating you all this year. Okay. So first, over this last summer, this leadership groups at North actually had a summer retreat. This entailed the United Students League, the Renaissance Group, class office, and the Multicultural Council. At this retreat, they had breakout sessions where they learned leadership skills as well as establishing our 5 main goals for this school year. These goals were 1, to promote and encourage positive school spirit, 2, to connect students and staff through involvement and activities, 3, to honor past traditions, 4, to recognize the accomplishments of our Husky Nation, and 5, to increase awareness of school activities through a variety of methods of communication. So for our number 1 goal of promoting and encouraging positive school spirit, we actually started off the year with a welcome back barbecue, which proved to be rather successful. We had a large turnout, and we gave away free hot dogs, free hamburgers, free chips, and free soda to members of to students that went to the school, their families, the staff, and members of the community, and it really started off the year really great. On August 24th, the first day of school, we had the leadership groups come especially early, and they welcomed all the students to the back to the first day of school, and it was just a really positive and uplifting start to the school year. Also in the beginning of the school year, we had the fall rally in the stadium. This pumped up the school spirit again, and it just got all the students ready for the school year. Every Friday, we have something known as Football Fridays, and here we give away free spirit shirts or free class shirts, and we just get all the students really excited and pumped up for the football game and make the football team feel honored. So this past weekend, we actually had Northchella, our homecoming dance. It was kind of like a spin-off on Coachella, the music festival. So the goal of the United Student League was to hit about 500 students, and we actually sold 730 tickets. This has been our largest sales for a dance since prom in the year of 2000. We owe the success to the extra leadership class we have, our increase in publicity, and the food festival we held before the dance. So this week, we're actually in homecoming week, and we're having dress-up days every week. It's in the packet I gave you all. And this Friday, we are having our football game, and before the game, there's actually a tailgate, which you're all invited to, and we'll have free food again for you all. So our number 2 goal was connecting students and staff and involvement in activities. This is carried out with School Plus 2, which promotes all students to be involved in either a club, a sport, or a combination of the two. We had Club Rush Day, and we had 1,500 sign-ups of students. We provided incentives, and I think this helped us. We have Freshman League mentors this year that reach out to the freshmen and help guide them and start them off to a strong start this school year and for their high school career. We have a new BLAST class. This is a class for at-risk freshmen and tutors of upperclassmen, and they strengthen their English skills and teach them the necessities of being a strong student. Moving along, our number 3 goal is to honor past traditions and develop new customs. We held North Remembers on 9/11, and here we had Police Chief Diaz as well as Chief Moore at the football game, and we honored them during halftime. And finally, goal number 4, to recognize the accomplishments of Husky Nation. So this last school year, John W. North was number 1 in Riverside Unified for having the most students signed up for FAFSA. Totaling in 495 students, the class of 2015 had an 81.6% rate of FAFSA completion, placing North at 6th in the county. And goal number 5, to increase awareness of school activities through a variety of methods of communication, was carried out through Snapchat. The leadership groups at the school use things like Snapchat and Instagram to reach a wider variety of the students at the school. And this has helped promote all of our events. Thank you. I'm open to questions.
That sounds great, and thank you for your little pin. I appreciate that.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, what is it?
Who are you playing Friday?
Canyon Springs for our homecoming game. Yes.
Any other questions or comments? Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you for your time.
Nietzsche.
Nietzsche. Yes, thank you.
They say if you say it 3 times, you'll remember it, so I've got it in my head now. All right, from Riverside Poly, Madeline Tovar. Welcome.
Hi. Good evening, Madam President Alavi, Dr. Hansen, and other members of the board. I'm Madeline Tovar, and I will be representing
Pull it down.
Poly High School tonight. Poly started off the school year to a smooth start. The second week of September, we had Club Rush, where about 40 clubs set up booths during lunch promoting their club and allowing people to sign up to join. It was a huge success, and we hope it got more people involved. September 10th, there was Avid Parent Night, where 250 Avid students signed a commitment to complete the requirements needed to go to a 4-year college. On September 11th, Poly held a memorial before school remembering the lives lost on the attack on 9/11. Choir sang the national anthem in front of the gym. ASB placed hundreds of flags in the grass area in front of the gym. Last week, we had 350 Poly students sign in at the College and Career Fair. Link Crew is having a freshman advising day this week. Link Crew is having a freshman advising day. This is where Link Crew leaders meet up with ninth graders to check in on their progress thus far in the school year, as well as providing assistance in answering any questions they may have. Our homecoming dance is this Saturday, and the theme this year is Poly Paradise. Each class is represented by subcategories. Freshmen are tacky tourists, sophomores are scuba divers, juniors are hula dancers, and seniors are surfers. October 12th through the 16th is our Spirit Week, where Poly students dress up to the theme. Each class will represent their subcategory by creating a float that will be showcased during the parade on October 17th. All of this will lead up to the homecoming game on October 17th. Dr. O and the Social Justice Council have been meeting frequently to tackle social issues such as putting a stop to the app People app, similar to that of the Burn Book. Rumored to come out in November, the Social Justice Council is also finding ways to make Poly a more positive environment. This concludes my report.
Thank you. That sounds wonderful. That's a fun theme for your dance.
Yeah.
I like that. Any comments or questions?
Do you have tell me a little bit more about this People app.
It's kind of like Yelp, but for people. So someone can like take a picture of you and then write all this bad stuff. It's just an easy way for bullies to have more access.
Wow. Okay. Well, I'm glad y'all are taking a proactive on that. Thank you, Dr. Rowe, and thank you very much.
good.
I don't think my box is working, just so you know.
Okay.
I was just going to say I'm familiar with the Burn Book and some of that. I was reading about that People app, and I'm not sure what we can do, but it would be helpful if we could do something. I'm glad you're aware of it and looking at it there at Poly. So, good.
Thank
Good
you.
job.
Thank you. Any other comments? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. From Ramona High School, Alexander Silva.
Good evening, Madam President Alavi, Superintendent Dr. Hanson, members of the board. My name is Alexander Silva, and I'm the school board representative for Ramona High School. We always start off the year with a very interesting start. It seems to start off slowly, but usually it tends to pick up towards October. And recently we had our fall pep rally. It was horror themed, but it was still kept school appropriate. We had a variety of school spirit days in order to promote school participation and a sense of unity between the community and our school. For example, we had a class color day in which every class is assigned a class color, and they're able to dress out and participate in a variety of creative and wacky ways. Also, we have the homecoming game coming up October 9th. It entails with an early release day and a carnival after school. The carnival is going to have a variety of carnival games, and clubs will be able to sell food, and it'll just be a very positive and good time. And we're going to have a parade from 2 to 2:30, and in the parade we will be recognizing the homecoming candidates and a variety of clubs. And we're also going to be having the Grand Marshal, who is Mrs. Sullivan, the Teacher of the Year from the previous year. And the game is going to start at 7 p.m. And we're going against Jurupa Valley High School, and we would like to invite you to come to the game. The dance is going to go from 9:30 to 11:30, and we are selling tickets for $5. And we also have a VIP card which would allow students to enter for free. And we also are starting a new activity card this year, which is $10, which will allow students to enter the home games for free. And it's a more cost-effective way for allowing students to increase their participation. And in doing so, we are tracking student participation at these activities by keeping track with our new hero system. So we'll be able to track who's attending things and be able to dole out more benefits and prizes to the students for increased participation. Also, I would like to highlight the fact that our football team is doing exceptionally well this season. We are 4-1 this season so far, so hopefully we'll be 5-1 this Friday. Our band is continuing their excellence this year with gaining 44 new members, and they have a large Las Vegas competition coming up the 16th of this month. Our cheerleading program has also seen a large increase with 20 members, boosting our previous 40 members to a now 60-member team. We have Club Rush the 16th, and the clubs are displayed in the gym, and they're able to interact with the student body and just increase student participation through that way. We also have Science Olympiad team restarting this year, and we're hoping to have 15 members compete in the Inland Empire Science Olympiad competition, which is being held at our campus as the previous year it was. We are also starting an engineering club for the first time this year, and we are also continuing our mock trial club. Also, Avid has been planning multiple trips for the students that are in the Avid Club this year, and they have the largest class this year with 143 seniors, and in total we have 645 students, which is the largest we have had so far. And that entails 18 different Avid classes. And we have been having many different college presentations such as Wesleyan University, Bentley University, and more. And we also have had an Avid College application workshop in the theater at Ramona at the September 24th, and a lot of seniors and their parents showed up, and they were able to garner more information about FAFSA and the application process. And are there any questions that I may be able to answer?
Well, there's lots going on at Ramona. I was going to say that, just for the board's edification, you spoke about the Hero software. That's our tracking software for activities, and I would love for you to, throughout the year, to give us some feedback about how you think that's working. Okay, so whoever can give us that feedback, it'd be great, because that is part of our School Plus 2 program. We're very excited about it. So thank you for bringing that up. I appreciate that. Are there any further questions or comments? Mr. Hunt?
I admired your coach at the beginning of the year. He was talking about he didn't have anything on, of course, when you're the Rams, you usually have the Ram, but he held back until the young men, and I don't know if there's young ladies, earned it. Tell us what happened. I mean, the 4-1, have they got an insignia on their helmets now, or is it?
I am not certain about this information, but I can get back to you at a later time.
Would you? That'd be great. Thanks.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Silva.
Sounds great. Thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you.
And it's exciting to have a representative from Riverside STEM Academy, Sofia Bautista. This is one of the first years, but we didn't have one last year. That's very exciting. We're excited.
Okay. So good evening, Madam President Alavi, Dr. Hanson, and other members of the board. My name is Sofia Bautista, and I'm representing the Riverside STEM Academy tonight. The Riverside STEM Academy has been off to a great school year. With separate high school and middle school ASBs, things have become much easier. We had our first homecoming dance on September 18th, and our theme was Back in Time. So students dressed up in different decades, such as 80s or 70s or 50s. At the homecoming dance, we had 116 out of our 160 high school students attend, and STEM obviously does not have a football team. So in replacement of that, we had a flag football tournament, and the winners of the flag football tournament were awarded free admission to the dance. On October 2nd, we had our first movie night under the stars, where we watched Back to the Future 2. And we also had about 80 students show up to that also. As STEM has been establishing itself more, we have a lot more clubs forming and becoming quite popular. Our Nature Conservation Club, which focuses on local environmental issues, actually has multiple booths such as ocean acidification and climate change at the Riverside Nights of Art and Innovation this Thursday. We are new and a significant addition to our clubs is Link Crew, which has just been added, so we're having sophomores and juniors mentor the freshmen in their first year of high school. The arts have also been implemented into STEM, especially this year. We have a new club called Muse, which allows students to focus on art projects, videos, ideas, and write blogs. We have this is the first year we have an official high school band, and we also have a yearbook club this year. So as the arts have also been implemented, we have a new class added to our schedule, which is an introduction to engineering and design class, which is taught by Charles Moorhead, who actually has a background in architecture. In that class, we can focus on an engineering project that we use a software called Fusion, where you can design and actually create the project. Another addition to our schedule is STEMworks, which is a collegiate system for students to go to their teachers' office hours, to work on Capstone, which is the 4-year-long research project, to do independent study, to work in groups. So that's, although we've only been in school for a couple weeks, it's proven to be pretty effective. Regarding existing clubs, our debate team has dominated their first 2 tournaments. They are considered a top-tier competitor within their speech and debate league circuit. So as you all know, we have, RUSD has partnered up with UCR, CBU, and RCC, and that's benefited our students. So UCR and STEM partnered up from September 25th to the 27th to provide the public with a telescope event where they could join in on an astronomy lecture at UCR. They could learn how to use a telescope, and they could also view the eclipse. UCR is also partnering up with STEM to set up a polymerase chain reaction station, or a PCR station, to help students carry out in-depth research projects at school. UCR and RCC grad students and professors also help with Capstone, the 4-year-long research project. And then they also mentor or coach our Science Olympiad teams. And last year we placed 3rd with only a sophomore and freshman team, so we have high hopes for this year. And then just the last thing to add is that this year, or this September, we got our chemistry portable, so now we can carry out full chemistry labs at STEM. And that concludes my...
Thank you.
Yeah.
Boy, a lot going on at all our high schools. That sounds very exciting. Any questions or comments, Mr. Hunt?
Ms. Batista, now what year are you?
I'm a junior.
You're a junior.
Yeah.
How many years have you been in STEM?
This is my 5th year.
Your 5th year. And so
Yeah.
it's been rewarding for you, and do you feel like you have the opportunity to be a well-rounded student? And
Yeah, I mean, with the whole partnership with UCR thing, so Science Olympiad is kind of like show me what I want to do, so it sounds kind of lame, but I want to be a geologist. And so with that, with the Capstone project, I actually have a mentor at UCR, and I go work with them every week, and I actually, my partner and I were presenting at the National Geology Conference this coming spring, so it's given me a lot of amazing opportunities.
you need to, it doesn't mean a thing to me. Mrs. Lockdoss is very excited when you say that about geology and everything. That's great. Good for you, though. I look forward to you. And so what are you thinking about going? Or have you started looking at colleges and all?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
You want to share? Or
Yeah,
we should wait?
Berkeley's like my top right now.
Pardon me?
Berkeley is
Berkeley?
like my top, and then Santa Barbara, and then UCR.
Well, Santa Barbara's right on the beach, so you can study
Yeah,
sand.
it's awesome.
And it works. So good for you. Thank you, Ms. Batista. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Students, you've done a great job tonight, but if you need to leave and go do homework, we will understand, so feel free. All right, now we have the district superintendent's report. Dr. Hanson.
Thank you, Madam President, and I'm very proud of all of our high school students. There's a lot going on. I had the opportunity a few weeks ago to meet with all of them, and we came in this boardroom and we talked about it, and we even practiced on the microphones, and they did a great job last meeting and this meeting. So well done, students, as you looking forward to getting to know you throughout the year. And we have a lot of exciting things happening right now in the district, a lot of special recognitions and things to celebrate, and I'd like to just highlight a few of them. First off, one of the priorities that we have as a executive cabinet is to shrink the size of the district and really improve our communication. And since our last board meeting, the first superintendent's teacher advisory committee met. That's where every school has a teacher represented, and they meet with executive cabinet. And the purpose of the council is to help shrink the size of the district. In order to exchange information, it's certainly important for us to receive updates from the schools, and as well as to share information, and that's one avenue in which we do that. And also on October the 14th is the first community advisory committee coming up. And again, it's another way to shrink the size of the district, to listen to our community and to share important information. And so that's coming up on October the 14th at 7:30 in the morning. I'd like to invite board members to attend those. I'll have Executive Assistants Cheryl Anderson share those dates with you. Other things to celebrate that have occurred since our last board meeting is last Wednesday night, I had the chance to go and spend several hours at the 11th Annual Riverside College and Career Fair at the Galleria. And for those who have been involved in that, you know what an amazing event that is. And a special thanks to, of course, the Galleria, Dana Rupert, who's the committee chair, the chamber, and so many people. Literally thousands and thousands of people congregate at the gallery on Wednesday night, and we had, I think, over 150 colleges represented, 75 or so businesses represented. I talked with the general manager, Jim, that evening, spent some time with him at the gallery, and he said that that event is second to only Black Friday for the number of people that they see at the gallery. And so again, kudos to so many folks who have put that event together from the surrounding districts. It just isn't us, but you have Alvord representative, you have Harupa representative, the Greater Riverside Chamber of Commerce, and of course a lot of people did some heavy lifting within our district. It was a great event. And right on the heels of that, and this is attributed back to Patricia Locke Dawson 3 years ago, because on Saturday, just a few days ago, we had the Completion Counts and Pathways to College hosted by North High School, or at North High School. But I want to thank our partnerships. We have Senator Roth, that certainly is a big advocate and partner for that event. UCR, the provost was there, along with our chief academic officer, who both addressed and spoke. UCR, especially their early academic outreach division. And then partnerships with Cal State University, San Bernardino, and RCC. And the purpose of this is the morning we have workshops to help prepare our kids for college. Those we help prepare them for applying for college, as well as financing for college. And so last week was 2 great events with, of course, the College Career Fair and then the Completion Counts Pathways to College, and so a lot to celebrate. The last thing that I'd like to highlight, actually, before I do that, I'd like to introduce our Chief Academic Officer, Lynn Carmenday, to give a brief update, and then we have a special recognition that I'd like to introduce to everyone at the very last. Ms. Carmenday.
Great, thank you. I just wanted to make note that we have the 16th STEP conference coming up October 6th and 7th. So that is something we do yearly. And so tomorrow I hope that you will join many students. In fact, 1,200 RUSD students will attend, representing 11 of our elementary schools and all of our middle schools at this event. We have volunteers from our junior ROTC, over 100 volunteers. There are going to be 40 exhibitors, including our very own RUSD Innovation and Learner Engagement in partnership with Google, who are hosting STEP Talks, so something new this year, and they're looking at coding and computer science. We also have a robotics presentation that's going to be taking place, sponsored by Poly High School on one of the exhibits. So very exciting. We hope that you can partake. On the first evening, tomorrow evening, our students will have the opportunity to go to CSERT, which is the College of Engineering Center for Environmental Research and Technology. So that's exciting. And then on the second evening, on the 7th, Dr. Pamela Clute does a professional training for teachers. So over 300 teachers will participate in that. Very exciting, and we hope that you can join us for that. One other thing I wanted to mention is that we will be participating for a second year in a row with the Gallup poll. And that means that all of our 5th through 12th graders will be taking a poll. And if you remember last year, they did this. And so we got baseline last year, and last year it measured hope, engagement, and well-being. Well, there's been a little bit of shift in the Gallup poll this year, and now it'll be hope, engagement, entrepreneurial aspiration, and career and financial literacy. So that's kind of neat, and will be our baseline for those 2 this year. Additionally, our very own staff will be participating just after this survey ends at the end of the month. Our very own staff will be participating in a survey on employee engagement. So something exciting for us in the future to have a baseline on. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Carmody. And again, a lot of stuff is going on. And last but certainly not least, certainly you've heard, because I announced it last week, but Pam Williams. Pam, I'm looking for you. Are you out there? Pam, why don't you come down to the podium. Pam Williams, the principal at Lake Matthews Elementary School. Last week, Lake Matthews received the honor and distinction of being recognized as a 2015 National Blue Ribbon School. And Pam is here at my request with some of her staff members, and tell us about the event, give us the history. I know you have some pictures, and then share with us the timeline coming forward for Lake Matthews and some of the events that you will be participating back in D.C. as well as back here at Lake Matthews when you return home.
President Alavi, Dr. Hansen, members of the board. I'm honored to be here this evening to represent our school, Lake Matthews, and give you just a very quick overview of our journey to get to the announcement that came on Tuesday morning at 8 a.m. The picture up is Dr. Hansen's visit, which just happened to be scheduled the day before the announcement. And I did let him in on the secret, though we got emails employing me to embargo, and we do understand that term. But it was nice to have him on campus. He got to know that he was seeing the actual examples of what our school is doing to earn this award. It all began last year. We were nominated by the state of California as one of 33 schools in California to make application. It's an arduous application. It's rigorous. It took a committee to do it. Following the nomination, we spent a lot of time putting that together with the faculty. And technology. Our goal is to prepare well-rounded students academically and socially, and many of these areas were part of the application process. So I'm just going to take you through quickly some views of Lake Matthews in action, and each of these was part of the application. Students learning with technology and in collaboration. It's learning from the earliest up through the upper grade. Student leadership, developing those skills that students will need not only in the elementary but on through middle, high school, and beyond. Participation actively, physical education, our jogathon, which involves all of our students and parents. We get lots of dads for this one, which is always a pleasure to have them on campus. We have awards assembly every month. We honor students for their academics as well as their achievement in a variety of other areas besides academics, and we honor them for their citizenship. We do Read Across America. We invite our bigger community to join us, and our student leaders do take part in that because they are part of the reading group that go to the primary grades. Faculty did not know that we had received the recognition until the announcement on Tuesday morning, but they were greeted in the morning with a sign in the lounge as well as breakfast, letting them know that it is because of them that we received this award. On our gates, we had signs greeting our students and our larger community in celebration. They had known that the application went in. They knew we were waiting for certification of all of our achievement for the spring, and then we were able to put up those signs. So we are very proud as a community to bring to Riverside Unified another U.S. Department of Education Blue Ribbon for 2015. And some of the faculty is here tonight, and I really want to honor them. It's because of the work they do and the dedication of our students that we have this award. There are no stars at our school. We are all star polishers, and the results are seen tonight. Could I have the faculty stand? And just one little note, many of the ladies who are here this evening are members of the third grade team. And as you remember with STAR testing, third grade was always that grade that went when the test scores came in, and I want you to know that these ladies outdid other grades with their dedication and their focus and believing in what students can do. So my gratitude always to my faculty, and thank you for this recognition this evening. It honors them in a way that they richly deserve.
Pam, before you leave, why don't you tell us a little bit about when you go back to Washington, D.C., and in the course of the celebration for when you return home.
Okay. 3 of us are going to Washington, D.C. on November 8, 9, and 10. On 9 and 10, we will have the official recognition ceremony. We'll be bringing back a flag and a plaque for our school. In addition, we'll be in workshops during the day, meeting with other representatives of schools across the country, talking about best practices and what's happening in our schools that have made us top-notch.
And when you return?
And when we return, actually, we are going to have a community celebration before we go, which is October 22nd. More details to come your way. It is in the planning stage now. But when we return, then we'll be bringing back all of our things to display. And is there something else, Dr. Hansen?
Good.
No singing and
dancing. You followed those
dancing.
prompts very well. Thank you.
Okay.
You know, before you go, maybe we can have all the staff come up. I have a certificate that we'd like to present to Lake Matthews, and perhaps the board can come down for part of the picture. Congratulations, Pam.
Thank you.
Yep, maybe we'll move down just a little bit. Okay, squeeze. Okay, got it? Can we get it? Can you get us all in? All right.
I'll put the men in the back.
No.
Oh, there's a public information officer for you. I don't know how to get it on. I tried to send it to you. It's too big. But I've got the video of you announcing it. So.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. That is an exciting news. We can't wait to hear about the ceremony in Washington, D.C., and congratulations to all. Tonight, oh, yes. Yes, we are having some technical difficulty.
My box isn't working, so I'm reduced to waving.
Yes, if we could have somebody.
Yes, they already looked at it.
All right, thank you so much.
Just, I wanted to make sure, and I know we've done it in the past, that we write a letter of thanks to Mr. Fusen at the Galleria, and thank him for his hospitality at the Galleria. So,
good idea. Let's definitely do that.
Thank you.
And Mrs. Allaby, I have a film of the principal announcing to her staff, and Justin's going to see if he can get it queued up at the end of the meeting. We
That
can
would be great. We'd love to
share
see
with you.
that. Okay. Moving on to district employee group reports. Ms. Gina Cheadle, I believe, is not here, so we will pass that PTA report on for another day and move on to CSEA presentation by Mr. Daniel Rudd, President, Chapter 506.
Good evening, Dr. Hansen, President Alvey. Chapter 506, we're going to be having more trainings again this month. The 26th, we're going to be having another bargaining academy for our e-board and our members that want to learn how to become better negotiators. We'll be having, Bernie Holt's going to be going to webmaster training. But our new director of facilities, Kim Mueller, he sent out a climate control or a climate study for our members at M&O. When he did that, a lot of our other members heard about a study, and so they gave me their opinion so they could put their input in. Basically, the CSEA members love the fact that we are getting more hirees back, but we need more hirees at more hours is the problem, because the ones that are being hired are part-time. They need more time with children. The special education, educational aides, they need more time with their children. They need to be with their children more often. The teachers have been given 15 minutes the last 2 years to bring up their time with the children. We need the classified to have their time with the children. We had staff that was taken away 5, 6, 7 years ago. They've been bringing them back, but they haven't brought back hours. We've had secretarial staff that their hours were cut. They're doing more work. We've had campus aides. Their hours were cut, and they're 6 hours, 5 hours employees. For our school safety, we need to have campus aides from before school starts till after school is finished, because what they're doing, kids are smart. They figure, hey, this time, there's a break in thing, so in this area, they're light. That's what we've been finding out from our campus aides. For security reasons, they need to have their hours restored and more people brought back. With the new LCAP, we're feeding kids more often. We need more hours for our cafeteria employees to be able to feed the kids and take care of them properly. It's just, we love the fact that we're getting more people back, but we need the hours brought back. We need coverage during the school time, and for them to be made whole. It's also a morale thing too, because when you have a parent come to you and you say, "Well, I can't really help you. I'm off duty." You got that problem. When you have a teacher or an administrator say, "Take one for the team," you know, the team needs this, the team needs that. We have aides that don't take their lunches. They can't take their lunches because there's nobody to cover for them. So we have that issue. We have people that just, they don't feel they have enough time to do their job. They just want to be able to do their job, and with extra hours they can. So I got a lot of emails in the last 2 weeks. I'm like, wow. And because they go, we have this study, we need this study. Because they do know there's going to be a study coming for pay, but they go, well, yeah, pay's great, but hours is what we need too. Because it doesn't matter if you make $15 an hour if you only work 3 hours a day. It doesn't help you. Everything's expensive these days. The more hours you get to work, the better it's going to be for their children. Cleanliness of sites, we have the cleaning crews that come in. If a cleaning crew comes in, they're supposed to be out of school from 3 to 6, but a teacher is there from 6 to 7, that room's not clean like it should be. So the next day, the head custodian comes in at the site. He's overwhelmed because he's only one person that has his duty to do. So the site's not getting properly cleaned that way too. We need to add hours to the sites also. And that's basically what I have to say. I don't want to be confrontational. It's just for the betterment of the whole school, for our children, for the community. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now we're going to take a look at the consent agenda. Those are items that we take as one vote. Do I have any changes or additions? Mr. Hunt?
I have some questions I'd like to ask on a few items.
Do you want to pull those, please?
Well, it really kind of a little bit over the place. It won't take very long. The staff already answered some for me. I would just ask a few of them, if I may.
Sure.
Okay, on page 26, that though was answered, I'd like to have number 250960 explained a little bit more. It's a $2,800 charge for Disneyland, and it was explained to me that it was for I just have a hard time, for one of our employees to attend a CATA, Association of Activities Directors Conference. I just want that checked out to make sure that's
What item is that, Mr. Hunt?
That's on page 26. It's a warrant list, yes. Thank you, Dr. Hanson.
Mr. Hunt, if I can call our purchasing manager to answer your questions.
I'm okay with, I'm sure you're watching it. It just seems like $2,800 is a lot for a hotel bill for one employee.
I'm sorry, but I think properly we should pull those items off the consent agenda.
Then I'll tell you which ones I'd like to pull.
Tell me which ones you'd like.
Okay, on page 26, I'd like to pull 250960.
No. What items?
What item?
F2?
The warrant listing.
F2.
Thank you.
Okay.
Warrant list number 4, then. Okay. And then I have a question about when we sell items, that would be,
F4,
is that correct?
the surplus and sale?
Yes.
Is that correct? I'm sorry.
I'm just guessing.
It's on page, begins on page 35 through...
Yes, okay. F4.
All right. That's it.
Okay. So let us take the rest of
Oh,
the...
and page 104, I just wanted to ask something. I'm sorry. That's our new employees, is that right? F12. Thank you.
F12. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Alavi.
So let's take the rest of the consent agenda. Mrs. Cloud?
I would move approval of the rest with special recognition for item F3, thanking all the donors for the wonderful gifts that have been donated to our district.
Thank you. And Mr. Hunt seconds. All those in favor, please vote. Let's hope our voting is correct here. No?
It's not working.
Our vote does not seem... Okay, hands up. All those in favor? Okay, that does pass. Thank you. All right, now let's take these items one by one.
Yeah.
F2 for the warrant list.
Okay, on page 26, about two-thirds of the way down, 250960 for $2,800.10. $2,810.96 Disneyland. I'm told this is for an employee to attend a conference. If that's right, I'd just like to understand that, and that's an awful lot for an employee. That include the conference. It says here it was for their room, so I'd just like to know if that's for the conference fees as well. And you don't have to answer now. I don't mind voting on it. I trust the staff, but I just think that one kind of jumped out at me. I'd also like to find out under 250403. I love Di Matteo's. When Mrs. Hunt's out of town, I live on Di Matteo's. But I know that we buy pizza from them. And Dr. Lewis will tell you, I bring this up a lot. When was the last time we did an RFP or an RFQ for pizza for our district? Because I'm glad we're supporting Di Matteo's, a good, small, family-owned business here in town, but I just want to be sure that we're putting that out every 4 years or so. Okay. And then I wanted to find out, so I'll move those. Those are what?
F2.
Okay. So I'm fine with F2. If you want to wait, I can.
Do I have a second? Someone? Mrs. Cloud? All those in favor, please raise your hand of passing F2. Opposed? Fine, F2 passes.
All right. Regarding where we sell equipment, I wanted to ask, if you'll look at pages 37 through 43, we sold a boatload of Chromebooks. Great. We sell them for $260. No, how much do we sell them for? It says site here. I don't know if that's the price. And how do we decide who to sell them to? Do we offer them to students and families, or how is that done?
Okay. Mr. Hunt, if I could
Thank you,
speak to the 260 is the site.
Okay.
So that's the school number. It's not the cost. That site happens to be Uni, which was one of our very first schools on school to home. So they had a quantity of netbook. The laptops are actually netbooks.
What's the Chromebook then?
They have a combination of
Okay.
Chromebooks because they had the first generation Samsung, the cheesy silver ones when they first came out, but they were awesome because they were new then.
Yeah, sure.
And some of their netbooks that are listed here as laptops because they aren't Chromebooks.
Sure.
So where we sell them and for how much, Mays can speak to that.
Well, that's what I want to find out. Are we offering them to our families? And if we're so, for how much, and how do they access them? So, thank you.
I can attempt to answer that question because they asked that question. Oh, I'm sorry. I wasn't done. And so, in a nutshell, that process is the board approves the items that are unsatisfactory and no longer suitable for our use. Obsolete items are disposed or sold according to Ed Code 17545-17555 555. Items with no residual value and no use to the district will be recycled whenever possible. E-waste electronic devices will be disposed of by state-certified recycler. We used to give our e-waste items to Smart Riverside as they were state-certified recycler, and they would try to refurbish the devices and give them to the Riverside residents, and thereby some of our students and families.
But they're gone now.
Right,
we
now-
don't have that. So how are we, and I don't mind this being for next board meeting, Ms. Kadish or Dr. Hanson, I just like the board to understand, I mean, when we do have these devices, which are out of the reach sometimes when they're new of many of our families, can we make them available to our families? How do we make them available? And I have the same question about I see here we're selling Perdithium boards, and I thought it was for $240. That's why I was asking that. So I just like to understand how I know we're allowing you now through this vote to sell them or to dispose of them, particularly when it comes to the laptops and others. How are we doing that, and do we make them available to our families first, that they might have a crack at it at a very discount price? So I would move approval of, is that F12? I don't know.
F4.
F4.
Do I have a second? Mr. Lee. All those in favor, please raise your hand. And that does pass. Okay. And then
is
the final one is F12.
Dr. Rowe's not here anymore, is he? No, he's gone. I just wanted to point out, I thought it was just cool. The NFL did it, and we follow right behind them. But on page 104, we're going to approve tonight with this motion, and I so move, that Miss Ashley Bingham be a football coach, assistant football coach at Poly High School. And I just thought that was good. And kudos, Mrs. Mills, and same thing to our coaches. What's his name, Coach Polu at Poly? What's our coach? Yeah, nobody seems. That's why we need these principals to stick around. Mr. Opie, yeah, Coach Opie. There you go. But thank you out there. Appreciate it. And but I think it's great that a young lady is being given the opportunity to be a football coach.
Excellent.
Here in America. So I move approval of F12.
And do I hear a second? Mrs. Lock-Dawson. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Yes, that passes. And so F12 passes, and we will move on now to the report discussion section of the agenda. And first, we have an update from Reach Leadership Academy School of Math, Science, and Technology. Mr. Garcia?
Yes, good evening again, Mrs. Elavy and Dr. Hanson, members of the board. As part of a memorandum of understanding between Reach Leadership Academy and Riverside Unified School District, Reach will update the Board of Education each year that the charter school is in operation. So this evening, Dr. Virgie Renty, the Executive Director and Chief Executive Officer of Reach, will report on the charter school's third year of operation.
Welcome.
Good afternoon, President Alavy, Dr. Hanson, and members of the board. It is a pleasure to be here. I am Virgie Renty, the Executive Director and CEO of Reach, and I'm here to give an update. Let me just see which one. Okay, which one goes? There we go. Reach is a college preparatory elementary charter school with a focus on STEAM, which is STEM with an art emphasis. Our goal is to close the achievement gap for underserved communities and students, and to provide a high-quality education to all students. Doesn't want to. I don't know. Okay, which way? Uh-huh. Forward and backward. Okay, got it. Okay, thank you. So we'll achieve that goal in many ways. One is we dedicate 30 minutes a day to response to intervention. So for those students that are underperforming in a particular area, they receive additional instruction, as well as we have an extended day and extended year. So Reach is in operation for 185 days a year. And we provide about 300 and I believe it's 85 instructional minutes to our students a day, and that's in first grade through fifth grade. With that, that's a grand total of over 65,000 instructional minutes. Also, our teachers provide after-school tutoring to students in their classroom, additional 2 days a week, and that's whatever day they choose with small group instruction, and that's another 2 days after school. Again, that's the way that we are looking to meet the needs of our population, our students, as we are looking to reach all of our academic goals. Our governing body, we had 7 founding members, and we currently have 5 board members, with 4 of our original members currently seated. And our board holds open elections annually, as well as we reserve 2 seats for parents of students that are currently enrolled. We also have the board terms are staggered. Our vacancies are announced annually, and all of our board meetings are Brown Act compliant. Our attendance last year was about 95%, actually 95.5%, so a little shy of our goal of 96% or higher every year. And we know that attendance is very, extremely important, and irregular attendance also leads to a loss of academic achievement. So we have looked at and have attacked our attendance with a 3-pronged approach, looking at best practices and focusing on preventative measures as well as intervention. So preventative meaning having awards assemblies and recognizing students and classrooms that are in perfect attendance and high attendance rates, as well as education for parents, sharing studies with them on the importance of attendance. Also intervention, going out, having meetings with parents that and families that are showing trends of not having great attendance, tracking attendance more regularly. We, at the end of this month, have already been looking at pulling data for September and tracking those students that are trending toward not having good attendance, and then sending out letters and reaching out to parents, intervention, looking for ways to assist if necessary, but definitely want to get our attendance rate up. And tighter enforcement overall to our standards and our handbook and our policies concerning attendance. We currently are on 2 different sites when we look at enrollment and our facilities. I just want to take a step back and just say our first day we opened with 77 students in 2012, and we now have approximately 400 students enrolled at Reach, and so we continue to grow and outgrow facilities. And so we are now at 2 separate sites. We have about 3/4 of our students at the Harupa site, and those are the grade levels there, serving TK through 5th grade. And then at the Linden site, that's our site we're intending to all migrate to next year, we have about 100 students, and we have grades 1 through 3 at that particular location. We have the intention of putting portables up on the open field there at Grace United Methodist Church, and we have cleared all of the permitting, the permitting process. We've gone through the CUP, and are currently procuring and looking at procuring a loan so that we can place portables on an open field there. That's been there for quite a while, quite a few years. So once we're able to do that, place the portables, we will be able to house all of our students and as well as accommodate our growth. And it is a facility that we can then remain at for about at least 5 years, 6 years, which will allow us to grow and stabilize. Looking at our student data, our household income, a little over half of our students are from low-income families, looking at our free reduced lunch data. And there's our demographics as well. We have quite a diverse campus, which we're very, very proud of. Of our EL students, we have about 8% of our students that are EL. And since 2012, this is data we pulled from last year, about 1/4 of them have reclassified. So moving on to look at our CASP results, we had 1 3rd grade and 1 4th grade take the Smarter Balanced Summative Assessment last year. And our overall baseline data right now shows about 41% of our students in English language arts and 25% of our students in math met or exceeded the benchmark. As we look at the various claims in language arts, starting with reading, about 57%, and in writing, 71% of our students were near, at, or above the benchmark. Looking at additional claims in language arts, and this would be listening as well as inquiry and research, about 82% of our students and 72% of our students are near, at, or above benchmark in those categories. Then these are the claims for math, and the first one is problem solving and data analysis. About 48% of our students were at or near or above benchmark. But as we progress on and we look at concepts and procedures, about 63%, and then for communicating reasoning, 75% of our students were at, near, or above benchmark. When we look at measurable pupil outcomes, this is actually taken out of our charter, and this is what we've actually stated to our stakeholders, to the district, that our goal is to have 75% of our students achieve a proficiency rate in English language arts as well as mathematics. Those students are 2 years or more enrolled at REACH, and if they haven't achieved that benchmark, to continue to grow until we achieve that goal. And we have also stated that we would have all of our English language students progress one CELT level annually, and so we have our work cut out for us, as you can see, but we feel like we have the measures in place and the structures in place to meet and exceed our goals. I wanted to also bring our data, our budget, just so that you can look at that. This is our monthly cash forecast for the 15-16 school year, and I saw a little pointer, but that's okay. If you can see there toward the end, we have an operating fund of about $3 million, a little over $3 million this year, with our highest cash need being in December. And on this budget iteration, it was about $83,000. That's assuming we pay off all of our receivables. However, our last budget iteration that was presented to our board showed about a $60,000 cash need, and again, that's in December, which was that highest cash need. And this does not include our educational effectiveness funds, which we just learned we have another $20,000 actually coming that's allocated and forecasted to actually hit our budget as well. So with that, I wanted to keep it as brief as possible and open it up to questions.
Yes, Mrs. Cloud. I have a couple of questions. Good evening.
Good
Welcome.
evening. Hello.
So the Harupa site is just temporary.
I'm sorry?
The Harupa site there is just temporary. I drove by there the other day.
We would love to have you come and visit. It's a temporary site for us, and this is our second year there.
Do any of your teachers participate in any of our trainings, or do you?
We participate in BITSA. This will be our third year, I believe. We have an MOU.
Have you participated in the K2 Institute with your beginning teachers? That might be really helpful.
We have not, but we would be very interested for sure.
I think it's beginning reading, K2, and all the teachers and principals find it very helpful.
Good, thank you.
Go ahead.
No.
Oh. And let's see. So is that the Cornerstone Church? Is that where it is by there on Linden? Is that, which church?
Oh, at Grace United Methodist Church. It used to be the school, there was the garden school was there. I don't know if you remember that.
Yes.
It's the garden school and a private school no longer in operation.
Okay.
And those classrooms were available. Actually, we've been leasing from them for a year to reserve that spot as we were going through the conditional use process.
Kind of going from church to church, huh?
I know, yeah.
They have the classroom
definitely.
space.
Yes.
My last question really is about your board. I know there was some concern at the beginning. We always kind of raise our eyebrows when there's too much familial presence on boards because it's in our experience has not been a good thing. So I can't find my notes, but What is the makeup of your board, and is your husband on the board, or is it, who's on the board?
My husband was one of the founding members and sat on the board for 3 years, and we can have up to 49% interested parties. But when his term was up, he chose not to run again, so he is no longer seated on the board.
So you do run, you have, within the school, that's how people get on the board, they run and are elected?
Open elections,
Is it mostly parents then?
Parents and nominees from outside of our community, and we have individuals come, and we have people actively recruiting board members. And so right now we're down to 5, and so we can have as many as 9 or 11. But again, that also leaves room for 2 parents. Currently, we don't have any parents running, but we keep those seats open.
What's the makeup of the board? So it's not parents, so who's on the board now?
So currently, we have community members that are on the board.
All 5 are community members?
All 5. A community member that became one of our founding members that also became a parent, so she's kind of, yeah. So she became a parent. Well, she, as being a board member, enrolled her students at Reach, her children at Reach, yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. Mr. Hunt?
Thank you, Dr. Renty, for coming. Always good to see you. Just wanted to, you might be aware that one of your former homes, the Mount Rubidoux Seventh-day Adventist Church, we received, because it was a county chartered charter school, but they were going in there, and they claimed that they were following in your footsteps of having a CUP approved there. Did you have a CUP approved for that place?
We did not. We bypassed the CUP process.
So I'm glad to find that out, because they weren't quietly being forthright. But I do want to remind you, we should do the same thing, and we would like you, wherever you go, please, to get a conditional use permit, go through the process, so the neighbors, as they did this place, can have an understanding. You must have been very good, because no one even knew you were there, but
Right.
but they knew they were coming. So
Right.
and
There is a provision for public schools, but that the district can, exempt us. But I think we went through that process. But normally we do try to go through those channels for sure, absolutely. And so we made sure going into Grace United Methodist Church that we have gone through the entire permitting process.
Well, even with our STEM school, we find out that we need to be always cognizant of our neighbors, because it is the disruption of the drop-off and the pickup times.
Yeah.
So thank you for the work you're doing. I only
No
hear
problem.
great things about you out there.
Well,
and
thanks. We'd love to have you.
If you ever want to come back, the door's open.
Yeah, right. Well, we'd love to have you come and visit. So thank you.
I would just like you to kind of explain, how do you incorporate the art into your day? Is this a course, or do you just, is it just incorporated into every lesson?
Ideally, we'd like to see it integrated throughout the day and throughout, especially through sciences and the different disciplines. Right now, we have a structured art program. It's called Meet the Masters, where we come in, we have someone else come in and actually teach art to our students, and as well as art history. And so they showcase various artists throughout the year, and at the end of the year, we put on an expo. So, yeah.
Is this an artist you have come in? Or?
So we have, Meet the Masters is actually a program that's intended for, it actually comes with a curriculum and everything that you need. So we've designated a couple individuals that are hired by Reach that have a propensity toward art that go in and teach it to our students. Yeah.
Good.
Uh-huh.
Good.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Would you like to have all your Reach family stand up?
Yes, and the students too. Can you stand up, please?
Okay. Very nice to have you all.
I know, and they're all tired.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Mrs. Alavi, I'd like to just take advantage of this opportunity also to point out that in the restructuring of a couple of positions and responsibilities, whereas Mrs. Gloria Cowder was responsible for the oversight and support and liaison with our charter schools, Dr. Kaisha Holmes, our principal on special assignment, is now the person on point to work with our charter schools, and so she's been working and meeting with Dr. Renty, and will continue to do so in a support role and in that liaison role with our USD.
Thank you. I'm pleased to hear that. Though Mrs. Cowder has done a really good job at that. All right, thank you. All right, now we will move on to our Heritage Plan update. Always fun to hear about. Mrs. Hill? Or
Good evening, Mrs. Alvey.
Okay.
Dr. Hanson, members of the board, I'd like to introduce Callie Neal. Callie is a product of Riverside Unified, and she is also the facilitator for the overall facilitator for the Heritage Plan and the site contact for Poly High. So she has a bit of information to share with you, and as always looks forward to your guidance and direction.
Great.
Good evening, Mrs. Alvey, Dr. Hanson, and members of the board. As Renee already said, I'm Callie Neal. I'm the facilitator for the Heritage Plan and fortunate to be Polly's site contact. I wasn't ready to give up working with the kids, so I really enjoy that. Tonight, I'll give you a few updates about the program as well as some moments that we have to celebrate in Heritage this year so far. The purpose of the Heritage Plan is to increase the number of African American students who complete the 15 courses required for college entry, and we normally refer to those as A to G courses because that's how the colleges label and refer to those courses. According to an EdTrust study, African American students in our district were not completing the A to G courses at the same rate as our other students. In addition, we didn't have supports in place to address the needs of the African American students. We were fortunate enough to receive a grant from Completion Counts and start working with the African American students in 11th and 12th grade. Completion Counts supported Heritage for the first semester of the first year, and then the district funded the Heritage Plan for the remainder of that year, and now we are funded through LCAP. We have a site contact at each of the high schools now, including Lincoln and EOC. The chart in front of you shows the percentage of graduates completing the A to G courses, and it is broken down by subgroup. And as you can see, there's an increase in all of the groups over time, but the gap still remains with the African American students, so we are working on closing that gap. Over the course of the school year, site contacts work with the parents to try to make sure that parents understand what is required in order to be college eligible. One of the things that we make sure parents are aware of is that D's are not acceptable for college entry because sometimes the students think that they are getting by with D's. So we addressed that with the parents. We had a wonderful parent information night on September 22nd, and we had a great turnout at the Family Resource Center. This is the first year that we held the meeting district-wide, so that we were surprised to see a lot of parents knew each other across the schools. We were able to provide the parents with a wealth of information about the college fair and the A to G coursework and events coming up in Heritage. We continue our collaboration with the colleges and universities. One program that our students participate in is early academic outreach. Our students are able to participate in activities at UC Riverside, and it's 10th through 12th grade. So depending on the grade level, students may go on campus to receive test prep, or over spring break they go to a college trip. We also participate with Cal State San Bernardino, the Black Student Leadership Symposium. It's a great event. All of our high schools go to this event, so it's the one time during the year where all of our students get together. This year, the symposium is on November 13th, and we are really excited. Before it was in the spring, and now, since it's in November, our seniors will apply for Cal State San Bernardino that day. We also, as the site contacts, we work on connecting the students to resources that are available on campus. So each site has different resources available, whether it's tutoring from the teachers or from the fraternities or sororities or other programs that the schools have. We also let the kids know about AVID and other ways that they can get connected to their campuses. 4 times a year, we meet with Dr. Hansen. We have a superintendent's advisory that helps us stay focused on the heritage goals. The superintendent's advisory is made up of 1 AP, 1 counselor, myself, Jorge Perez, Renee Hill, and Dr. Hansen. This first meeting, we were able to have a parent and a student with us as well, and that was a great experience to gain feedback from the student and the parent. And then one of our largest activities throughout the school year is led by Jorge Perez, who is my counterpart in the program. Jorge works with the counselors, and I work with the site contacts with the student and parent outreach. Each summer, we complete a transcript review. We look over the transcripts to see which students are already on college track, and then which students could be on college track if they accepted some schedule changes. Sometimes they need to take another year of language, another science, maybe they're missing a visual and performing art. So this year we looked over 745 transcripts, and there are 2 charts in front of you. The one on the left shows the initial results from the transcript review. The type 1 OK A to G students were already on track. So with Heritage, we continue to support the students. Sometimes they're in advanced courses, so we monitor their grades and make sure that if they need tutoring, or sometimes the students just need help communicating with their teachers, then we help them work on that as well. Our type 2 A to G possible students could be on track. Maybe they just need to repeat a course in summer school or take an additional year of a specific subject. On the right, before school starts, the counselors look over the transcripts again for our type 2 students to see who actually accomplished summer school, and they meet with the students and parents to let them know what they can do to get their kids on college track and make sure that they understand that we will support them if they accept sometimes the more difficult courses. So after that was complete, you can see that we have more students in 10th, 11th, and 12th grade that were on college track. The good news is for our 10th graders and our 11th graders, they still have time to take summer school, repeat courses, so we're going to see those numbers grow. And our 12th graders, some have the opportunity to take credit recovery now. And last but not least, this is where I get to celebrate my team. I work with so many amazing people. My favorite thing to say about my teachers is they catch all of my mistakes before I share them with people. So each school operates a little bit differently with Heritage. Some have one counselor for the Heritage students, some have a counselor liaison, and then some of the schools break up the students by alpha. So here are your site contacts and counselors for this year, and each year the teamwork just gets better and better, and I appreciate everyone more and more. It really takes a lot of us together and contacting the teachers, and sometimes we're triple teaming these kids just to know that someone's there to support them, and they really start taking a lot of responsibility for themselves and each other, and it's been really great. And again, I just want to thank you as a district for all of the support that we've received. So thank you so much.
Thank you. We have some questions. Mrs. Cloud.
Just a quick question. Hello.
Hi.
I'm glad you're still at Poly.
Thank you.
We have a lot of students at MLK. Is that because of the size of the population? Are the counselors designated to the students by the numbers of students, or what?
At King, they break up their Heritage students by alpha. So at Poly, we used to do it by alphabetical order, and some of the schools break up even their AVID students by program.
So, in other words, all of these counselors at King have some heritage students.
Yes.
And that wouldn't be true at some of the other schools.
No, at Poly, we have one counselor for the heritage students,
right.
but if they have Avid, they may have a different counselor. If they have Puente, they may have a different counselor.
right.
So everyone's in communication with the site contact.
Well, thank you. Was at the graduation last year and saw a lot of excited students and parents.
It was wonderful. I look forward to it this year as well.
Great. Mrs. Lochtassen.
I just want to congratulate both Callie and Renee, because I don't know if you all know, but these two pretty much made this program happen in, I think, 3 months, I want to say, over the summer. The Completion Counts Advisory Committee was like one of the first committees I got on when I came on the board, and I knew there was going to be like $100,000 left in the account at the end of it, and we were looking at all the, the metrics and who was, and we were sort of saying, well, this is weird. This is not right, that some of these kids, there's a big achievement gap between some of these. And so Dr. Miller was here at the time, and Renee, I think that was like maybe early spring, late winter when we wrapped up. And we got the money. We made a pitch to the Completion Counts folk. It was Gates Foundation to get the money. Renee got Callie on board. They took all those transcripts. They figured out, they designed a program and implemented it by August and September. So these two
in between our
women,
vacations.
both gone. Yeah, they did a crazy lot of work, and I was at the parent night the other night, and it was packed. There were so many parents. So obviously you've hit on
good event.
Hit on a nerve here. So I think thank you guys for doing this and for working so hard, because it takes, as Lynn Carmen Day knows, crazy individuals to carry these things. So I really appreciate that you guys are doing this. And I think you're expanding this coming year, right? We're
Yes.
expanding. So
Thank you.
Anyway, thanks.
Great. Mr. Lee?
Yeah, congratulations to everybody that's participating in this Heritage Plan. It's really exciting to see the growth of the program and the change that you all are making in the district. And I'm just curious, as a board member, now that we're in a couple years, 2-3 years now, right? Yeah.
This
so
is the start
what
of year
are we
3.
learning that's working really well, and why do we think more parents are showing up, and how come the results are getting better as we go along? Like, what's working?
Relationships. The more relationships that you build, not just with the parents and students, but the teachers, letting them know that you're available. I just see so much more collaboration. I met at Arlington on Friday, and I was going to meet with their counselor and their site contact, and another counselor said, let's all get together. The principal was there, the AP was there, like everyone's on board, and it takes that, and the kids are very receptive to finding out what they can do to get on track, and they know they have the support.
That's great. And I know there's no silver bullet or magic wand to fix this gap overnight, but what can we be doing more of to support this program and to try to accelerate closing this gap?
Right now, I think because we're growing, we're going to get to the point where we need more help. If you look at King's numbers, it's one person doing the same amount of work at another school that might have less students. So we're getting to the point where we're going to need more help on the campuses.
Human capital? People?
More teachers.
Human capital, if I can add a couple of things,
Please.
Mr. Lee, to your first question, what's working? One, I think a student mentioned it, and the mom mentioned it at our last meeting, is just having an atmosphere of students together. They're valuing academic performance. And she said, my daughter gets with other students, but they talk about hair and music and a lot of other stuff, but this brings them together around academics. So that's one thing. And surprisingly, the young lady who was there, the single influencing event was that we had a senior celebration last year. So in her case, she had one-year course to complete. Year 2 was the first year, it's a 2-year class. The year 1 was difficult for her, and Mrs. Neal had tried to convince her to take year 2, and she said, no, year 1 was hard. I don't really think I want to do that. And Ms. Neal pointed out, well, in that case, you wouldn't be able to participate in the celebration. Boom, yeah, I'll do it. So now she has Ms. Neal signed up to tutor her and check on her grades. So I think that part of what needs to happen, and we talked about it when we first designed Heritage, is that when we find out things for this smaller group of students, we extend it to all of the students so that we have some systems in place. So somehow, some way, we have to find a way to do transcript reviews more effectively and efficiently. Right now, it's one by one, hand by hand, and it changes the minute a student changes their status in a class or changes their schedule. Another would be those immediate supports for students. When they start wobbling, we have to catch them and provide some type of support for them. And I think just, teens are teens. So having that positive pressure for performance and a one-on-one person who believes that they can and will walk with them side by side makes all the difference in the world.
Good. I know the program is focused on 11th, 12th, right?
10th, 11th, 12th this year.
But that's what I was going to say. Are we moving it down to catch
Yes.
them? Because do you feel like you're getting them too late sometimes? To
The
have
first
room
year,
to-
we all felt like that,
Oh,
and we were
okay.
scrambling. This last year and this year, we started working with 10th graders. Depending on the site and the number of students, some schools already have started working with the freshmen. At Poly, the seniors are mentoring the freshmen on their own. They're like, they remember their freshman experience, so we are working on building relationships with the freshmen.
Good, good, good. And the other question I had is, even though you got a great parent turnout, you must have missed some of the parents. So how do you reach out to those ones that didn't show up to the parent meeting?
Some of our students have signed up on Remind 101. Each of the site contacts has a Remind account where it's parents and students that we can contact. And then when we do have events, we send the notices home with the kids. We email them to parents. We mail them. So sometimes it's personal phone calls, and that's what we've heard works the best. Not the auto dialer, but the personal, do you know what's going on in your student's
But
class?
you're making that personal connection.
Yes.
On the part of all your students. Wow, that's a lot. That's a lot. Good. That's it for me. Anybody else have anything?
Oh,
I'm sorry,
That's
Mr.
all
Hood,
right.
I
No,
didn't
that's-
see you.
That's all right, Ms. Can you go back to this, Ms. Neal, can you go back to this chart right here? Just
I can try.
a question, thanks.
Is it the all four?
Yes, ma'am. So our funding for this, if I remember when it first started, Renee, Ms. Hill, when it first started, I remember Dr. Hermit and you presenting it, it was federal, right? Is that correct?
No.
No, it was always state?
Right.
So it's
It
still
was-
state? So what is our funding for this program?
It's LCAP funds right now.
Yep, and
Uh-huh.
the amount?
Is about $250,000, which is mostly Cali plus 7 teachers for 1 period a day, so about 2 FTE, a little over, plus bus transportation for the students, and then just some outreach materials and snacks for parents.
I think it's a great program, and I appreciate the questions of my peers tonight, good questions and insights. I couldn't help but notice that the Latino numbers and the African American numbers, though the Latino numbers as far as aggregate is larger, the percentages are quite the same. Just to divert a little bit from the African American to Latino, do you think that the new type of LCAP funding that focuses on English language learners, at least, will that help that number grow?
I think it can. I think just seeing the effect of the Heritage Plan, I think it depends on the activities that we take. Having that one-to-one influence, because all of these students are surrounded by people who want them to do well. A graduate of Poly, Juan Eason, spoke to the superintendent's advisory last year, and he said to the advisory, I have college-educated parents who told me all along I need to go to college, but I didn't feel valued as a scholar at school until Mama Neal started checking up on my homework.
Mama Neal? Aren't you a little young to be Mama Neal? Is that-
I hear it all over campus.
Right.
Mom, Mom!
Oh, well, that's good.
And he said, so now I don't want to face her on Monday morning without my work done and my grades up, so I start calling my buddies on Sunday night saying, does everybody have things done? So it's something about that, I call it pressure and support. That you have the pressure to perform at a level that you might not exert on your own, but you also have the support there in case you wobble.
So do you see some of these same systems then, regardless of color of the child, the student, are being applied and will work under our new LCAP system, LCFF system?
I think it can. Kelly's been talking to Anu Menon and to some of the EL contacts. Matter of fact, Alfredo Guerrero joined the Heritage team at their first meeting so that they could start sharing methods.
And giving credit, Renee, to you and others that have been here since 2010, I do want to point out that our U.S., some people, when I first said this a few months back, just couldn't believe this number and were incredulous, and I was challenged in a few places, but we've gone up 1/3 in the overall A to G completion.
That's right.
So that's exciting, and it seems to be that you're, if I'm doing my math right, which wasn't always my strong suit, but we're pretty much keeping pace with the African Americans as well on those numbers, and I mean, it seems to be accelerating.
Right, that's right.
I should say it's more accelerating, so that's exciting. Thank you for what you've done. Thank you, Ms. Neal, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, we are now to section J, public hearing. Does anybody want to take a break? Let's take a quick break, a 10-minute break, and we will be back here at 20 minutes till. Oh, no problem. I would like to bring the meeting back to order. We are now at section H, which is a public hearing. Mr. Garcia, I believe you're up.
Good evening again. In order for school districts to be eligible to receive instructional materials funding, Ed Code Section 60119 requires that districts hold a public hearing and determine through a resolution as to whether every student has sufficient and appropriate textbooks or instructional materials in the core content areas of mathematics, science, history, social science, foreign language, and English language arts and ELD. So at this time, I would ask you to move forward with opening a hearing and asking for public input, and then after the closing of that hearing, then I would just comment briefly on the resolution.
Perfect. We will go ahead and open that public hearing at this time. Is there anybody that wishes to speak to item H1? Hearing none, I will close the public hearing, and we can move on to the action item.
Yeah, so a little, just a brief statement on that, that again pursuant to Ed Code, for the 2015-16 school year, the Riverside Unified School District has provided each pupil with sufficient textbooks and instructional materials aligned to the academic content standards and consistent with the cycles and content of the curriculum frameworks in the subjects of English language arts, ELD, math, science, history, social studies, foreign language, and also to include science lab equipment for grades 9 through 12.
Excellent. Is there any discussion by the board? Questions, comments? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve this. I'm sorry, I should read the item.
I-1.
I-1. Thank you, ma'am. I
Thank
move
you.
to approve I-1.
Do I hear a second? Second. Mrs. Locke Dawson seconds. Any further discussion? Can I see a show of hands? All those in favor of item I-1? Mr. Lee? Okay, that is unanimous. We'll now move on to item I-2, resolution number 215-1620, resolution of the Board of Education commemorating the 50th anniversary of Cal State San Bernardino.
Again, good evening, Board President Alavi, Dr. Hanson, and board members. I have the opportunity to bring before you a resolution that commemorates Cal State University San Bernardino's 50th anniversary. So we've been collaborating with them for a long period of time and different things such as research projects, placing credentialed teachers in our district, internships in our district. We also just last fall, if you recall, signed a collaborative agreement to have admissions to our students at their university. And then most recently, a collaboration to help support what they call the Coyote First Step program for our students who are transitioning to Cal State University San Bernardino. So at this time, I'd like to make a recommendation that we adopt the resolution that commemorates their 50th anniversary at Cal State University San Bernardino.
Thank you. Any board comments or questions?
I just want to say that I think this is one of the better partnerships we have as a district. It's been a long time, even before Dr. Morales got there, and I hope that not only do we approve this tonight, but that we, where we can, participate by board representation or our staff in what they're doing in any way we can on our website. They are a wonderful partner, and it always impresses me every year. It's just my own little survey, but whenever I do graduations and I see an avid student, I'll ask them, for sure I'll ask them where they're going, and a lot of times it's Cal State San Bernardino. So I think it's a wonderful place for the kids, the students of this community. So I would move for approval of resolution 2015-16-20.
Very good. Do I have a second? Mrs. Cloud. Any further discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand. That is unanimous. We've got to get those buttons fixed, don't we? Yes, of course.
What are next steps for after this? Are you going to send this to?
They actually have it in receipt. We've validated it tonight, so that's fantastic.
Okay. Cool.
And the president will be sharing out where the resolutions are coming from.
Terrific. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you. Item I3, Mr. Walker, for resolution of the board for alternative interdistrict attendance programs, space availability.
Good evening. President Alavi, Dr. Hanson, members of the board. I have a PowerPoint presentation that's going to come up here. I put together a short overview of the topic, district of choice. And there it is. Okay, so covering education codes 48300 through 316, the district of choice measure, known as Senate Bill 680, was initiated in 2008. DOC gives parents the option to choose which district can best serve the academic needs of their children. RUSD is proud to be part of this choice initiative. In May of 2010, RUSD took action to participate in the District of Choice program beginning in the 2011-2012 school year. District of Choice transfers are available for any parent of a school-age student who does not live within the geographical boundaries of RUSD. District of Choice is not school of choice. We do try to accommodate the requests of particular schools, but the transfer is approved to come into the district, and the placement of schools is based on availability of space. DOC districts must accept all of the students who apply based on the number of spaces that are identified. And the District of Choice program has helped RUSD during times of declining enrollment and assisted in the launching of some of our specialty programs within the Riverside Unified School District. The following graph before you shows the number of DOC transfers that were approved over the last 5 years. You can see for the last 3 it's stabilized just over 500. The resolution associated with this presentation recommends the following number of District of Choice transfers: 300 spaces at the elementary level, 300 spaces at the middle school level, and 100 spaces at the high school level. I thought it was important to provide the next slide. For the 2016-17 school year, the open enrollment transfer window has been moved up to accommodate for the purpose of determining staffing, budget, and facilities. This action will assist in making RUSD and assist us in becoming more competitive with other districts when recruiting staff. Before you are the transfer options in RUSD and the dates when the specific transfers will be accepted. As you can see, for our open enrollment period of time, right after our District of Choice and the Allen Bill, we have moved it from what is traditionally March to January through February the 12th. We have also aligned our program improvement and our choice programs to that same period of time, all of them ending a week before, so that we can have time to get the numbers together and they can hold their lottery. So I just wanted you to have that. With that in mind, I would like you to take into consideration passing the resolution before you, which is basically a yearly event that you undertake that identifies the number of spaces that we will have open for the 16-17 school year under District of Choice.
Mrs. Lochhausen? Yes, question.
Mr. Walker, you may have said this and somewhere along the line, but why do we have to have so many different opening dates? Is that dictated by law, funding?
The law drives the first two, which is the District of Choice period. Mm-hmm. It's from November the 1st through January the 1st per ed code.
That's in law.
Open enrollment, which is the 1,000 underperforming schools in the state of California, which allows parents to then choose to go to another district or another school within any district that has a higher API than their school, is driven by law. So is our program improvement. That has to happen before our overall dates, because they get first choice based on particular schools. If they're from a PI identified school, then they have to be given the opportunity to move to a different school within the district. The others are by choice, and we'll be moving the open enrollment backwards to align ourselves with other Inland Empire school districts that have first choice at staffing because they finished their numbering before us, and therefore they get people applying to their school districts, and so we're trying to come into alignment with that over the course of time. We moved it back to end on February the 12th this year. We'll be moving it back even further next year to align with other school districts.
Well, and I guess to me it would make sense, I mean, just to align what you can to each other too. So you're just dealing with one date for your open enrollment, but, or I guess, sorry, not open, well, it's everything in there, but it's, you know, the staggered dates, it causes so much confusion with the public.
We had to move the program improvement and the program transfers for specialty schools back before the ending of our open enrollment. In case a person didn't get into the lottery, they could still apply for an open enrollment transfer, because they're two separate processes. If you're trying to go to a specialty school, you apply directly to that program, and then the lottery takes care of that. And if you get in, then we deal with your transfer. If you want to go through open enrollment, you can't put down the STEM Academy, because we don't grant transfers to the STEM Academy. You apply and you get accepted through the lottery system. So we're trying to make it fair and equitable for everyone who wants the options of choice within our district.
Okay, thank you. And I would move to approve if there's no other questions.
I think there was another question. Mrs. Cloud?
I do have a question clarification, and I'll second the motion, but I know you'll answer my question.
Absolutely.
Like Brandon Adams, the core knowledge programs, they have space in them currently. So if a student came in from Harupa and wanted to come in, that shouldn't be a problem, correct?
The window for transfers are closed at this point in time. Again, we don't place at the specialty schools. Once the school is closed, they either have a waiting list and they pick from that, or if somebody applies, then we would work with the school if there was no waiting list.
Well, I just saw that there was an enrollment, so it shouldn't be a problem there, right?
But again, it depends on whether they believe there's space or there's space based on the number of spots that were identified going through the initial process for transfer determination.
Okay.
Okay. Any further questions? And it has been moved and seconded. All those in favor, raise your hand. Okay, that is unanimous. And go ahead and...
Next on your docket this evening would be the first of 3 board policies for review. This is Board Policy 5131, Conduct, and Dr. Gary McGuire is going to come up and walk the Board of Education through 2 of the board policies. I'll come back with another resolution, and then he'll finish the meeting with 1 more.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, President Alavi, Dr. Hansen, and board. As you know, from year to year, there are constant changes in legislation, both state and federal, and there are changes in OCR resolutions, or Department of Justice resolutions, and case law, which require us to look at our board policies and make changes and adjust to come current with those. Tonight we have 3 of those, as Mr. Walker has said. The first one is conduct, and this is for your first reading. The particular changes in this have to do with state law and case law regarding harassment, bullying, cyberbullying, electronic devices. So a recommendation, well, it's not a recommendation, you have it for first reading tonight, but of course, if it's the pleasure of the board, you may act on it this evening as well.
Thank you. Yes, Mrs. Cloud?
I have a comment, really. This is, all 3 of these pretty much lifted from state ed code requirements?
They're lifted from ed code requirements, the case law, et cetera. CSBA has provided us language that meets with those requirements.
Well, I don't have trouble with the language in this first policy here, but, really, I'm kind of looking at numbers 1 and 2, and I look at what they say, like inappropriate attire. Most of us know that we don't do too much about that at the high school level. And sometimes it's, or use of cellular digital telephone pager during instructional time. Those kinds of things go on pretty regularly. And I don't want to have too many rules and regulations that get broken all the time, because then they become meaningless. So I'm not going to oppose that, but this is pretty broad, and it's some of these things are broken pretty regularly, and I'm not sure that's a really good thing for children to have in front of them to learn to be law-abiding. And that's true for both, well, I'll just stop there. But with that said, I mean, what, this is like a catch-22. And forgive me for being frustrated, but I am frustrated. That's just, it's just frustrating. I was going to move that we accept it, but I won't. Somebody else can.
All right. Mr. Hunt.
I want to point out to the staff, to everyone in the audience too, that originally we're updating in 1997. It's amazing that no laws have been enacted until now, so I want to compliment y'all for catching up. Mrs. Alvey and I did attend 2 Saturdays ago a governance, CSBA governance, Masters of Governance program that talked about policies. Many of ours date back to 1994, 1995, 96. It seems like we've gone through a period where either we haven't done anything or they haven't passed any laws, and I think I know which one that is. So I commend you on this. I understand Mrs. Cloud's comments, but if it isn't mentioned, then it isn't a violation. So whether we decide to enforce the use of a cellular phone or not is up to us, but the fact that it's mentioned. So I would be very much in, I think tonight's a reading, isn't it?
It's a first reading.
It's a first reading, so that's all we're doing.
You do have the prerogative to take action if it be your pleasure.
Well, if any other comments, then I would move for approval of this. I think it's with, as he pointed out, case law and statute, and this district is either the state hasn't done anything in the last 18 years or so, or or is that 18? More than that. We're very far behind in doing these things, so I would move for approval.
Do I hear a second? Mr. Lee seconds. I will have to say that I agree with Mrs. Cloud on this. If you're going to put down that inappropriate attire is something that is a conduct policy, don't you have to suggest what that inappropriate attire is? All I'm saying is I know of other states and other school districts who've gotten into a lot of trouble with this. If a principal feels that it's inappropriate attire, then that's good enough. Is that what we're saying?
We have a separate policy on dress code, and that will be something that we'll be reviewing in the coming months, which will put some more meat on this. This is the general philosophical, if you would, foundation for that.
So what would that additional description be under?
There might, well,
an additional policy?
there is a specific policy or regulations that would address the dress code, yes.
Well, then that should, or at least a footnoted or something?
If I can, the determination for inappropriate dress code comes down to something that is vulgar, that disrupts the classroom or educational process, and it's quite clear that subjective interpretation cannot be taken. It's a issue of freedom of expression, has a lot of case law behind it. So we will be bringing forward our district-wide dress code at a point in the future, but the board should understand any of these policies that we bring to you out of pupil services are primarily driven by Ed Code, by case law, and are reviewed by attorneys before we bring them to you after we've done our work.
So an attorney thinks that it's okay to put inappropriate attire here and leave it vague without being footnoted?
Again, inappropriate attire would then be identified in your dress code, not in a conduct policy.
I see.
Because it is a conduct that a student can participate in.
But do we want to tackle a conduct policy that calls it out when we don't have the other policies that would explain it?
Well, we do have a dress code policy at the moment.
Yes.
And it does call for what is inappropriate, what you cannot wear at school. You can't wear something vulgar. You can't wear something that is too revealing. There are certain specifics within our dress code policy that a principal can take action on. And then, of course, there's always the debate about, morality and so forth that people have as personal perspectives that unfortunately don't drive the ability for us to enforce particular issues that might be controversial.
Okay. Do we have any further discussion?
Let's have a question.
Mr. Lee? I'm sorry. Mr. Lee, go ahead.
I was going to say to Mr. Walker's point, also, like number 22 addresses tardiness or unexcused absence, but it doesn't define what tardiness is. And if you go on, there's quite a few that are somewhat general. So I think that number 21 is in alignment with the general nature of conduct that could be addressed somewhere else in a board policy.
Well, tardiness is pretty self-explanatory, or unexcused absence, but attire is sort of iffy, no?
Would you be comfortable if you said something like if you did incorporate it right by reference, like inappropriate attire as described
defined by,
or defined by?
Yeah.
Can we do that?
We certainly can.
Is there any rule against that?
We can explore that language if that's something that you would like to incorporate.
Because I'm kind of with you. It's sort of like there has to be some reference to what that means, and we just can't assume everybody knows there's a separate dress code policy. You know what I mean? So I hear you.
And as far as the cellular pager during instructional time, I agree. That would not be preferable, but there would be occasionally, I could just see some occasion where that would happen. I guess we can't do anything about it since it's being dictated to us, but.
18 gives some leeway.
Yeah, it does, but.
Yeah, it does. It's not specified, though, then it can't be enforced.
Yeah.
If I may jump in, we have a student acceptable use policy that does give more specificity on that and gives consequences for violation.
Okay.
I just worry that if we make it too specific, not that I disagree, but I mean, then you go down to 27, when a student uses a prohibited device or uses a permitted device in an unethical or illegal activity, what is a prohibited device? So, I mean, I think it can get, obviously, I'm sure the prohibited device is explained somewhere else, but where are we going to start and where are we going to stop on providing an explanation to the 29 or 36 points?
Some of these will be addressed more specific in nature in the rules and regulations, which are not brought to the board for approval, but clarify how they are followed. When you make generalizations in your board policy, they then, and rules and regs can be defined more clearly for implementation at the school site. We also have sequential disciplines for every violation of Ed Code 48900 that provides for the principal or administrator at the site to utilize as a short way of looking at what would be an appropriate intervention for first, second, or third offense of a violation of one of those codes. So there are other measures in place that provide that don't always have your board policies cross-reference. And in this particular case, rules and regs would have much more specificity for use by the administrative staff at the sites.
I understand. But if you look at the black of this policy, which is what this policy basically was before, and you look at all those red numbers there, that's what we're adding to this policy. And without any kind of degree of where to go to get further information, would it be appropriate to say at some point in this policy that further information then can be gathered with our rules and regulations or something? Because we're adding an awful lot of numbers and doubling the intent of the policy, I think. Yes, Mr. Hunt?
I was waving at a fly.
Fly,
sorry.
okay.
But I would say that we are 18 years behind in updating our policy, so a lot's happened. But I think in the spirit of the conversation, I'll withdraw my motion and ask that this, since this is a first reading, let it go to the next meeting, give the board and Mr. Walker and staff time to questions we may want to send to Dr. Hanson, et cetera. It is broad, but there's a reason for that. And if anything shows that there is no local control, that is really a fallacy, it's the California Ed Code, because this is what Sacramento is telling us we have to do. Not that I don't see anything I disagree with, but it isn't, it's really, so much of what our job is dictated to us by Sacramento. So it really is something we just have to take, and it's the way it's presented. Don't disagree with you. I'd like some more definitions. So I'll withdraw my motion for now. Whoever had the second, I agree with that, and I'll let this lay over to the next meeting.
Mrs. Cloud. Well, the conversation really just lays out what my concern is. It's overly broad, and I think what the suggestion was, because people looking at this wouldn't realize there's a lot more information in the rules and regs if you're just giving it a cursory reading. And even on our webpage, because I was looking at it, it has the policies over here and then rules and regs over here. And unless you know what you're looking for, you're not going to find it. So I think we need to do a better job of connecting those two. And maybe this would be a good place to do it.
Well, may I ask your guidance? In the CSBA template, under each of the headings, typically they put in how it's linked to other board policy and the administrative regs. We can insert that as well. We were trying to follow the existing format that the district had brought to us.
Oh, I think it'd be a good idea to use the CSBA format and maybe start aligning these things so that people can find them better.
Yeah, because it is there, but we took
That's
it out.
what Gamut
to vote.
does, right?
That's taking it straight from Gamut. Yes, it does.
Okay, great.
I think that would help us a lot, because then we would know that somebody else could find the appropriate matching document.
I think that's a good point.
Okay.
As long as we're looking at this now, then maybe this is a good time to look at our rules and regulations online, because they are not very well connected, and I don't know who. As long as we're reviewing it, it might be a good time to connect them better.
You're talking about the technology of connecting it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because if you look at it in our website, the rules and regulations are kind of separated from what I could see from the policies.
Right.
And that, unless you know which policy you're looking at, you don't know which rules and regs match it. So,
And that depends on the search that you use. There's one search that you can use that puts them both together, which is what I use. But you wouldn't know that just
But you
going in.
wouldn't know that. Anyway, I think the conversation really...
I think it's going in the right direction. Because I'm thinking of this as a parent or somebody who maybe didn't have knowledge of how the district is set up. So that little bit of more information would be helpful.
I'll be happy to
Yeah.
do that.
I would like to suggest then that and Gamut does that.
Yes.
And Mrs. Alavi and I attended that hearing, and we wanted to recommend to you that Gamut, I think, is I asked, is $29,000, which does all this staff work for you, and it keeps it active. So we don't have a 1997 date, now 2015. It continually updates it. So I would say that we should just, we can read these, but I mean, we're going to say the same thing about the next two, really.
Yes, we are. Yeah.
However, the content is the same, the format would be different.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. That's my point. And I appreciate all the hard work you've done. I think bringing Gamut in makes it a lot easier for everyone, not just you, but including as Mrs. Alavi was alluding to, the populace we serve. So they'll understand.
Agreed.
We'll be happy to make adjustments and bring it back for your consideration at another meeting.
Thank you.
Does any of this apply, by the way, just something that came up at our conference we went to, does any of this apply to our staff, faculty, staff, employees, the dress codes and that sort of thing?
As far as dress codes, that would come under personnel. It wouldn't come under conduct. This is under the students section of your board policies.
Okay.
So.
Can I ask a clarifying question?
Yes.
Since we're not going to act on this tonight, it's the third policy, non-discrimination in district programs and activities. Is that language lifted out from Ed Code pretty much totally? Because I personally have a problem with in association with it's item 1, a person or group with one or more of these actual or perceived characteristics. That really would enable a gender-confused child to choose the other baseball team or football team or locker room or whatever, correct?
Yes.
Well, yes.
Yes.
And that's
Well,
case law, that's
yes.
Department of Justice regulations, that's federal law.
Well, I personally, that just does not make sense to me. I believe we need to teach kids about reality, not about perception. So if we can't change it, then my vote will probably be not positive. So thank you for the clarification. I wondered if it was Ed Code language.
Also under that, it's both a civil rights coverage, Mrs. Cloud, but also under Section 504, a person is identified with a disability if they have a disability, if they have a history of having a disability, or if it's perceived that they have a disability. So that's where that word comes from. It's the perception, that self-identification, then that would cover that person under that particular area.
What if it's a sudden perceived characteristic?
The law leaves a little bit of administrative judgment. If there is a student that is masquerading, it gives us a little bit of judgment, but beyond that, we have to be very careful with that judgment, because the perception could be a real perception on the part of that child, and we have to honor that perception.
Also,
Okay.
I have I'm sorry, you finished? Mrs.
Yes,
Clark?
I'm
just
just-
wanted also a question about the bullying policy. Since we had written this in 2004, or updated it rather, we really had only 4 or 5 lines in the policy?
The policy, AB 9, when it was passed in 2000, when it became active in 2012-13, specified a lot of basically everything that's in here now, in the identification of bullying, the requirement. It's almost like mandated reporter, we're mandated interveners, the training of the students, the education, complaint process, everything was changed when AB 9 passed.
Okay.
And that's
Okay.
why there are so many changes here, to
Okay.
reflect that.
All right. Well, is everybody comfortable then with our tabling these 3 policies?
Well, it's for first reading, so you're not really tabling it.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
You're looking at it, getting the questions answered, and we come back with those
Thank
areas
you.
that you're
I
talking
think
about.
we were asking
Thank
just
you.
that they would match the 2, as Mrs. Cloud suggested, and bring it back so we can see them side by side with the policies.
Thank you. So that would
Yeah, all 3 of them.
Does that cover all 3
would
then?
be I-4, I-5, and I-6,
So then I'll turn it over to
and
Mr.
I-7.
I'll turn it over to Mr. Walker for the resolution for Bullying Month.
Oh, we do have a resolution. Thank you.
Yeah, it was inserted in between the board policies.
Yes, okay, I
So,
see it now.
President Alavi, Dr. Hanson, members of the board, bullying affects millions of American children and adolescents annually. For this reason, the Riverside Unified School District is taking an active role in the movement against bullying in our schools and the community, as outlined in our board policy 5131.2, and supporting various anti-bullying assemblies, presentations, and trainings throughout the district. The Riverside Unified School District has the opportunity to demonstrate its commitment to support this cause by adopting the attached resolution proclaiming October 2015 as National Bullying Prevention Month. I ask that you take action on the resolution before you.
Thank you. Do I hear any comments, questions?
I will second Mrs. Cloud's motion, because Mrs. Cloud has been, in my time on the board, a very strong advocate in this area, and I think it's only right that she make this motion just symbolically for all of us.
Mrs. Cloud, are you making
Well, I
this
have
motion?
my hand, yes, I
Okay,
will make the
thank you.
motion to approve the resolution with
Thank
pleasure.
you. Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Please raise your hand. All those in favor? That is unanimous.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Then I'm going to go ahead and move along. I-7 would be a first reading, so we're going to pass along with that. So we have arrived at board members' comments, and I'm going to take a presidential switch here and ask if they would please run that YouTube video that Mr. Hunt and I saw at our conference.
Let's look at 2 children, one from a middle-income family, the other from one of the millions of low-income American families. As the 2 kids head off to kindergarten, look what happens. The middle-income child starts out with a 6-month lead. The low-income child is already falling behind because of a lack of access to early reading and preschool education. During their year in kindergarten, in the same school and classroom, the two children will learn at about the same rate, so we'll move them both forward 9 months. But look what happens in that first summer between kindergarten and first grade. Our middle-income child moves ahead about a month in reading because learning of one kind or another continues over the summer. The low-income child falls back about 2 months. So when school begins again, when they go back for first grade, the gap between them has already widened. During first grade, again, they move ahead at about the same rate, another 9 months. That next summer, the activities and lifestyle of the middle-income family keep that child moving forward, but the low-income child has fewer opportunities to reinforce good habits like reading, and that child falls farther behind. Then we come to second grade, and again, our two children learn at the same rate. But the summer after second grade sets our low-income child back again, and our middle-income child moves forward again, and the gap widens again. By just the third grade, the two children are already far apart. By the end of fifth grade, the gap between the children is 2.5 to 3 years. It will keep growing through middle school. So you see, without addressing what's happening during the summer, it is impossible to ever catch up. It's impossible to close the gap. No matter how much high-quality learning goes on from September to June, every year the gap widens.
Thank you. This is an example of a video that Mr. Hunt and I watched while we were starting the Masters in Governance program by CSBA this last weekend before last, during the time when it talked about whether or not a board had the ability to change the academics of a district. We talked about all sorts of things, but this was brought up as an example of how boards can start to educate themselves about the differences that they can make happen in a district. We also studied a 5-year multi-study research project which is coordinated through the Iowa School Boards Foundation. And what they did was they looked at all school boards across the country, and they decided that those school boards who had a role in creating the conditions and beliefs for a high-achieving district actually did sustain higher educational achievement. So the beliefs of the districts that were the best, the school boards that were the best, they had high expectations about what was possible for students, an understanding of what the district could do to improve student learning, and a culture conducive for high levels of success and student achievement. And we bring this to your attention. There are quite a few things that we learned in our 2-day seminar, but I bring this to your attention to show you that we could have a positive effect as a school board if we together can coordinate our thoughts, our visions, our goals, and create this kind of environment that academic achievement is going to take place. So I know you all know that, but it was good to hear it again, and I thought it was a good little video to kind of remind us that these are things that the LCAP can address, and it's also the thing that we could use our special dollars for. So I just felt that summer program might be something that we could sort of latch onto. Remember that learning by third grade has always been one of our board goals, and when you see that and you see what takes place by third grade, you know, it's pretty dramatic. So thank you for letting me show that to you. I will pass now along, and I will ask Ms. Slack-Dawson, do you have any comments?
I will just say on that, I think one of the best moves we made this year with Dr. Hansen was getting a chief academic officer. I mean, to actually have somebody in the district whose title is focused on academics. I mean, that states where your priorities are right there. So that's what I would say. Thank you, Dr. Hansen, for that gift to the district. And I don't have anything else. The only thing I would ask is, I'm not sure if you had this on your notes, but I would like to close tonight's meeting in memory of the shooting victims in Oregon. So, thanks.
Oregon.
Mr. Hunt?
Thank you, Ms. Alavey, and thank you for bringing that forward. I think all of us in that room, we were from districts from all over and different sizes. Very interesting when you get together with other districts, what you find out. First of all, let me just say, I'm so glad to be in Riverside Unified. And when I meet, there's people suing each other, there's people being recalled, there's board members that were trying to tell us they don't have any input and they don't have this. It was just, I'm going, let's drive back quickly, Kathy. So we really do have a wonderful city, and school districts reflective of that. But I think what Kathy was showing us is that we do have, if we really believe that we're a district of choice, we really have a choice. And I would challenge Dr. Hansen to start thinking about what we can do about this. I mean, literally when the playing field is tilted, no matter how good of a team you put out there, players and coaches, if we're thinking about a soccer or football field, if it's tilted like this, that we just don't seem to have a chance. I mean, everything we do right, we can hire all the great teachers, but as long as we have to let the kids out to get the crops, it seems to be always against us. So I do hope we'll look at that. I like Mrs. Alavey's challenge on that. I do want to bring up again, one thing we did focus on a lot there was about the policies and bylaws, and if we would sign up for Gamut, I think it's pennies compared to, it's $29,000. That's compared to putting a staffer on it and all we went through, and would keep up. That would keep up with the policies and bylaws to how the state has it would be well worth it. And I want to just also, Dr. Hansen has been brought to my attention that November 11th is Veterans Day. In CSEA, Bernie Holt has the names of all of our employees that are veterans. I don't know if Tim has that, but I would like the best of our ability to, on November 11th, on our website, to thank, and I would ask from you and Mrs. Alavey a note to those folks, to thank them for their service. Many of them began their public service, which they're continuing now, by being part of the military. Let's recognize them and to thank them for that choice. I'm so proud of our city now beginning to put up banners about the young people, our graduates that have gone on to be in the military, some of them paying the ultimate sacrifice. So I think we should at least do our little part. And do want to remind folks, Citrus City Classic is coming up, and that is a wonderful event that gives to Reef and to its counterpart in Alvord, and I hope you'll get there to support it. I'll remind, since there's 3 of the candidates, at least in this room, I'll remind all of us that electioneering at that event can affect the nonprofit status of the Citrus City Classic, and would certainly be a tragedy. So let's keep it out of that. Let's just go down and cheer Riverside and cheer education on. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Lee?
I want to thank Carol Wyman for inviting me to participate in the recognition of Wendy Osorio, who is a junior at Ramona High School. And last week, Antonio, myself, the Principal Angulo, Dr. Angulo, and her parents were able to surprise Wendy. She was recognized by the Committee for Long Nights of Arts and Innovation for outstanding achievement in science, and it was the first time they've done this recognition, and it was not just Riverside Unified, it was all the districts pretty much in the Inland Empire. And so counselors were asked to write letters of recommendation on behalf of students that they thought fit the bill for this award, and Wendy, a junior at Ramona, received the recognition. It was pretty neat to hang out in Dr. Angulo's office, and her parents were there and her sister were there, and she got a recognition. Antonio did a great job presenting her with a certificate and speaking also to her parents in their native language in Spanish so they could participate and understand what was going on. And she was very excited and very impressive girl. She's, I believe, the first that's going to go to college in her family, on track. She's valedictorian, on track to be valedictorian in next year's class. She received an internship at Loma Linda University to participate in a very complicated study that Antonio and we decided not to bring up during the presentation because we only understood about 2 of the 12 words of the study, but something to do with traumatic injury to the brain and stroke victims. So it was pretty impressive that this young lady was picked out out of all the individuals that participated. And her counselor was there and was very excited that his letter helped rise her to the top of the list. So proud of her, and proud of Ramona for doing such a great job, and proud of this district for producing such an amazing student. And also I'm looking forward to, I think next meeting, Dr. Hansen, we're going to get a report, I could be wrong on the date, for DLI and what's coming forward for the plan after elementary school. I think that's something that all the parents and students are waiting to hear about. What is our long-term plan for going into middle school and high school? And so I look forward to that presentation, and that's all I have.
Thank you so much. Mrs. Cloud?
Well, I think Mrs. Carmen Day will probably have a presentation about some of the opportunities that we are going to do this summer. And I think it goes along with some of the things that were spoken tonight. And I, as a fairly good student, I hated summer school and I never went, or I tried it once and didn't go on. So I just want to make sure that these kinds of things are voluntary, because there are a lot of other ways to get educated in the summer. But it's exciting to think about the possibilities and to provide for our students. I went to the Riverside County School Boards Association meeting last week, and I just wanted to report back to my peers. I think we have now paid our dues. Yeah. Correct? The RCSBA. that was a question there that night. The executive board is trying to get out more and visit districts. So sometime this year we should have a visit. They said this last year, and I don't think they got around to it, but by RCSBA executive board, there will be a workshop on November 5th for a LCAP, LCFF workshop at the University of Redlands, and Janelle Kubinik, which I think some of us remember, will be the presenter. We've done a lot within our district, but I know a lot of the smaller districts don't have that capability. She is a good presenter. They're also trying to start to familiarize us with our peers in the region. It's a much more active RCSBA than it was years ago. They're going to have regional mixers kinds of things, and there's one in April. I don't know if it's scheduled or semi-scheduled at the Victoria Club, so that's something to keep in mind. And don't forget the Fall Joint Conference, which is the 26th. They're calling it a Unity Conference. It's the one we share with San Bernardino County. And it will be at the Doubletree in San Bernardino, same place, different name. So I wanted to bring that up for your perusal, and that they've said again how important our voting member is to go and attend that meeting. So with that, happy evening.
Thank you. Do we have happen to have that video of Lake Matthews? If we could run that really quickly.
National Blueberry to an additional 50 privates, but we don't count them. We're trying to get it up so you can hear it, but I will email that out to you so that you can press and view the video. I am thrilled for all of you. Some of us have been here since the beginning, and you need to know that when I got the announcement, I cried. And I didn't cry for me, I cried for all of you, because we've seen the ups and downs, and you've trusted that what we were doing was right for kids. And even when we thought it wasn't the best, we found our way to make it right for kids. And I think it was the right choice to give you your Star Polisher pin, because that's what each and every one of you do. We are not the stars. We are not. And I've said since the beginning, there is no one star that makes things happen. We are the polishers of all of those little people out there, and you have done an amazing job. And this is a once in a lifetime for me. Some of you have a longer life ahead of you, so maybe you'll do it again. But I could not be more thrilled. Going distinguished school to National Blue Ribbon. but we're not finished. We still get new little bodies and we still continue. So bless you all and thank you for what you do every day.
Okay, I think we can stop it now. Thanks. It's a little difficult to hear, but it's still heartwarming to see, and it's certainly an honor that we're very, very proud of. So with that, I'm going to adjourn the memory of Ms. Carol Meredith, who passed away on September 16th, a former instructional aide and attendance assistant and principal secretary, and Mr. Henry Morales, who passed away on September 29th, who is a former RUSD employee, as well as to all the Oregon shooting victims. Thank you.